yesterday tweeting, they love Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant loves Phoenix, and we're going to try to win next year. So if that's shutting it all down, so be it. Here was Stephen A. yesterday, though, talking about Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns on First Take.
Pay no attention to what Phoenix is saying. They want out of Kevin Durant right now. They want out of Kevin Durant right now. Also, Houston doesn't want Kevin Durant. Ime Udoka may want him, but organizationally, they know that they are not there yet. So their plans are more long range, and they would prefer a Devin Booker, who they know it's a slim chance they'll get, but that would be their preference.
All right, so don't believe the owner who tweeted out yesterday that Kevin Durant loves the Suns and they love Kevin Durant. All right, fair enough. Like, listen, we were talking about Mike Dunleavy the other day and him saying, yeah, you know, the expectation is Jordan Poole is here for a long time. The expectation is for Jonathan Kuminga to be here for a long time. Well, expectations change. Things happen. And for the Golden State Warriors, you're damn right they're doing their due diligence, whether it comes to Durant, whether it comes to Paul George, whether it comes to Jimmy, but anyone that is potentially available, you are checking in on. Even if they're not potentially available, you're still checking in on them. Guys that you wouldn't think could get traded or would get traded, these guys wouldn't be good at their jobs if they didn't check in. And again, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN senior NBA reporter and writer for them for a very long time. Warriors are going to be very active this week, and they're going to be in on every player.
Name a free agent, name a trade target. They have made calls on them, okay? They are being very, very aggressive, okay? Like, most of them, Kevin Durant, calling Kevin Durant. Lauri Markkanen, calling Lauri Markkanen. Paul George, calling Paul George. Name somebody out there. They are being very aggressive. Now, can they actually turn anybody, can they actually bring any of those guys in? I don't know. They tried to get Alex Caruso. He ended up going to Oklahoma City.
And the Kings were also in on Caruso. They tried to dangle that 13th overall pick for him. OKC didn't bite, and he gets traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, Ramona Shelburne talking about the Warriors being in on everybody. Topic of conversation yesterday. Paul George. What's going on with him? Anthony Slater. Tremendous content yesterday on the Morning Roast. Good job, Sam Lubman, getting him in studio. It's all Sammy Boy doing a hell of a job. Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys pod as well, alongside Joe Shasky. View the latest episode if you haven't on all available platforms where you get your podcasts from. Breaking down all things Giants, who are kind of hot right now. But Anthony Slater, our 95.7 The Game Warriors insider, an insider for The Athletic, covers the Golden State Warriors at a very elite level, joined Bonte and Shasky in studio yesterday. It was tremendous content. Find it on YouTube. Give us a like, subscribe there. You can also find it on the Odyssey app, which is free to download, plus thousands of other stations, whether you like music, whether you like aliens, whether you like, what do you like, cars? What do you like, candy? I'm sure we have a podcast for that. We have everything there on the Odyssey app. I don't know why I said candy, but that'd be kind of a cool podcast. Do the history of candy bars and stuff like that. I'd listen. Skittles.
Be pretty sweet.
Right? There you go. That's give you a 3. It's a Thursday 3. How about that, Sammy? I like Thursdays. I do. I get the anticipation of the weekend. I'm getting excited now. Also, selfishly, I had the day off yesterday, so my week is already cut in half. I know Sammy missed me, baby. Come on.
Understatement.
Understand. We love Ken, though. Shout out producer Ken filling in. Not super late notice, but within the couple days that he had as a notice. He is a father of one. Shout out the great Ken Luttrell, who is a very happy Knicks fan, by the way, because not only did they trade for Mikal Bridges, but they also got OG Anunoby. Don't call him AJ Steiny. OG Anunoby is back, signing a 5-year, $212 million contract. Wow. For OG Anunoby, huh? Sure. Why not? I do like the makeup of that Knicks team, and I do think Jalen Brunson, for as much as we kind of like, I don't know about him because he's a little undersized, he's a scorer, but God, he was impressive in the playoffs last year. And I was a little upset we didn't get to see them play the Boston Celtics. Listen, credit to the Indiana Pacers. They were the healthier team, and that is basically why they outlasted the New York Knicks. But it's basically the Villanova Knicks now, and I cannot wait to see what this team does next season with Tom Thibodeau at the helm. I was very impressed with them throughout the postseason, throughout the regular season. And could they give the Boston Celtics a run for their money in the East? You've seen the Miami Heat do it with Jimmy Buckets, with Eric Spoelstra. Can Tom Thibodeau now do it with the New York Knickerbockers? We shall see. Another news and notes from around free agency, but it's not quite free agency, but you can negotiate and do deals with your own people. That's why you can start talking to Klay Thompson of the Warriors right now, but we'll get into that and what Anthony Slater had to say yesterday about it. Nicholas Claxton agreeing to a 4-year, $100 million contract with the Brooklyn Nets. Solid, big size guy, great defensively. Good signing for them after moving on from Mikal Bridges. So obviously they're still rebuilding, but you still keep some players even during a rebuild, and that's what the Nets are doing with Nicholas Claxton. All right. Anthony Slater. How did things get icy between Klay and the Warriors? Remember, it was Anthony Slater that said talks have frozen. You're getting a theme here. Ice, cold, freeze. Well, when is this thing going to thaw out? And when is it going to become the Splash Bros again? That's what Warriors fans are wondering. Or is it going to stay frozen? And like Elsa, he's not going to let it go. I guess I should say, unlike Elsa. And is he going to depart? Well, Anthony Slater in studio yesterday with Bonta and Chasky.
Part of the reason it has gotten to as icy a point as it has is because what are the Warriors doing right now? They're not dealing with Klay Thompson. They're dealing with trying to get other stuff done. But Klay Thompson knows that. I think there is a part of Klay Thompson, and I would almost even say a large part of Klay Thompson, that is internally debating right now, like whether he just wants to leave. You know, regardless of money, years, this, that, like, and that's part of the story I put out last week was I think bringing that reality a little bit more to the public, that I think there's too much of this national perception, outside perception that, oh, maybe he's, looking at a deal that he doesn't really like monies and years wise. And, eventually maybe him and the Warriors will get back together. But both sides, of course, would love for this reunion to happen. That's just not necessarily where it is right now. I do think it's possible it comes back together. There's a lot of conversations that will happen between, now and let's say July 3rd, July 4th, whenever decision time does come. And there's a lot of moves or non-moves that the Warriors need to make that really impact the money and the situation that he would maybe be coming back to. But
things have gotten icy between Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors. How are we feeling about that, Warriors fans? 888-957-9570. Are you starting to feel like Klay Thompson, it's going to be him moving on from the Golden State Warriors rather than the Warriors moving on from Klay Thompson? More from Anthony Slater on a breakup potentially between the Klay and the Warriors.
There is just a chance, particularly from the Klay side, that just a breakup is needed. A fresh start is needed. I would say it's leaning that way. Again, I don't want to go too definitive because things change this time of year. The situation can change. The money either on the market can change enough. The Warriors offer whatever, that maybe it comes back together, but that is not the way it's trending.
He's leaning, and that's Anthony Slater, guys. And again, he's not saying it's definitive, but he would lean if he was betting today, it sounds like. Klay Thompson's moving on. And that is just craziness. And I get it. It's easier to swallow Klay Thompson moving on if you get another big acquisition, which is they still could do. Listen, could they get Paul George? Theoretically, yes. It is possible. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing that needs to be done in regards to that. Mike Dunleavy, earlier in the week, obviously GM of the Golden State Warriors, said making trades in today's NBA is hard, and they have to be realistic. But if they do end up getting a guy like a Jimmy Butler, who, by the way, said yesterday, well, according to reports anyways, if anyone trades for him or if he leaves, he's not signing a new contract, he says, until after next summer. So does that, kind of cool down the market for a Jimmy Butler if you're just signing him for a one-off year? Or are you fully okay with taking that risk? And I get it. If you're the Warriors, you might be saying, you know what? For this next year, and if that's it, why not? But Pat Riley will not be swindled in this situation. But again, it goes back to the same thing with Paul George. Although Paul George is opting out this year, so it's a little different because this summer, Paul George owns all the cards. There is a player option next year for Jimmy Butler, but it's next summer, and he could get another year with the Miami Heat or whatever team that trades for him, but expect him to opt out next year and re-sign elsewhere. At least that's what I'm reading from reports. Paul George can opt out this year and then just go wherever he wants to go. But he would rather opt in and sign long-term because he can make more money. Now, is that all what it's about for him? We'll see. He can control his own destination regardless, too, a bit, because he could tell the Warriors, hey, if you guys trade for me, I'm not re-signing long-term with you. And the Warriors are probably just not going to give up the assets for that. Or if Paul George says he wants to go to the Warriors and tells Steve Ballmer, he's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to leave no matter what. So either trade me to the Warriors and you can get an Andrew Wiggins potentially and a Chris Paul back, or I'm just going to leave and you're going to get nothing. How about that? So he does kind of control his own destiny in a way, but the other team has to also be willing to tango a little bit. And are the Warriors willing to just part with Andrew Wiggins, Chris Paul, and let's say a first-round pick or something for Paul George? I would do that in a heartbeat, by the way, if I'm the Warriors. Not even close. But is Mike Dunleavy going to do that? Is it going to take that much? Because I can't see the Clippers not wanting Kuminga in that deal. But again, they don't really hold the cards in that situation. It would be Paul George. And here's more of Anthony Slater talking about how the Warriors can get PG-13 and maybe, yes, maybe even keep Klay Thompson.
I think it would be very hard to get a Paul George in and have Klay back because of the money situation. But the way to potentially do that is Klay coming back on a real discount. And I guess my overall point is like, I think if Klay knows he's taking a discount, I'm not sure he'd want it to be with the Warriors.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that as well. And I'm kind of on the thought process that he's going to go for a lot less than he wanted to when this whole thing started, but it's not going to be with Golden State. I think it's going to be with a contender, whether it's in the East, whether it's in the West, not in Europe or in Australia, but definitely in the East or West. We're going to narrow it down there, really going out on a limb, Joe. But I could see him going for a lot less than he and his camp thought initially heading into free agency, but not wanting to go back to the Warriors. And whether that's the hard feelings, whether that's how things shook out last year, it just does feel right now, and things can change, on June 27th, 2024 at 5:18 a.m., it does feel like Klay Thompson has played his last game in a Golden State Warriors uniform. At least for me. What say you? Do you still have faith? 888-957-9570. What do you want to see from the Golden State Warriors once free agency begins? Second round's tonight. Is there some deep cut names that I should be aware of that maybe the Warriors could target potentially? Bronny James? Didn't work out for him. He only worked out for two teams. Why not? Right? Why not get a little chaotic? Although, once you get Bronny James, you're going to get some eyeballs. And if he does indeed make the team, not that it's going to make anything weird, just make things more interesting. Whenever you got a name like that with James attached to it, his father being LeBron, things can get a little interesting. And I'm all for interesting and chaotic, man. Shout out Ray Ratto. He rooted for chaos. I'm a little bit like Ray. Both Italian, of course. Both have great mustaches. That's about it. Both got elite bodies, too. 415. GM Spadoni, the Warriors are behind the curve on European and French players. They need to get more international and find that diamond in the rough. What about Smilagic? What about Dario Saric? Come on. Relax. And by the way, I would consider Jonathan Kuminga an international player, although he played for the G League Ignite. The guy's from the Congo. Sorry, is it the Democratic Republic of Congo? Something like that. I always try. It's the DR Congo. I always see the line. DR Congo. Yeah, I was right. Shout out Spadoni. Score one for me. They got him. Right? And then he's looked like he's played pretty well. And by the way, now that we're talking about the draft, and I appreciate you chiming in 415 on the Xfinity Mobile text line, 888-957-9570. Last night, in this draft in particular, scared the hell out of me if I'm the Golden State Warriors. Not that they didn't have a pick in the first round, but the fact that you did hit on Jonathan Kuminga, I think he's been a hit. Now, you might say that's a little overstepping my whatever, but I think Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a hit for the Golden State Warriors. And when I look at the draft last night and the amount of names, and that might be more on me, sure, maybe these guys, and obviously they've done the research on all these players, but at least sexy name-wise, it seemed to be a little lacking. And this is where you really have to lean on your international and scouts elsewhere and your G League scouts, whatever. I want to keep Jonathan Kuminga from the Golden State Warriors. It is very difficult to hit in the NBA draft in a season with, household names, let alone not a lot of them. So keeping Jonathan Kuminga would be a major priority for me right now. And yes, that does hurt your chances of potentially getting another star. But again, if it is a guy like Paul George, it might not even come down to Kuminga. So that could be good news. If he opts in, again, we're still waiting for a lot of things to happen over this weekend. Free agency is upon us very shortly. We're going to be breaking it down all next week. When is the NBA free agency start time? It's going to be June 30th, 3 o'clock Eastern. So that's going to be on 28th, 29th. All right, Sunday. All right. Can't wait, man. This is, again, I've hammered this in all week long, and I'm going to continue to do so because Mike Dunleavy has the toughest job right now of any general manager. I'll put Farhan in there, who's kind of dug himself his own hole. But I think what Mike Dunleavy inherited is the most difficult situation. You have aging superstars, and two of them that, when they're on the court, have been playing damn good. Draymond Green and Steph Curry on the floor, still two of the best players in the league, given their respective positions. Klay, a little long in the tooth. That's okay. Just the expectations have to shift with him, whether it's off the bench or not. But inheriting this team, winning 4 titles, being a part of that as an assistant under Bob Myers, and now taking over the job, getting rid of Jordan Poole, who you thought was going to be a part of your future, bringing in Chris Paul, who is not going to be part of the future. He's going to be one and done. He's gone. When you made that trade last year, you were thinking of the playoffs. You didn't even make the playoffs. Now you have guys like Moses Moody. You hit on Brandon Podziemski. You hit on Trace Jackson Davis. Again, we think Jonathan Kuminga is a hit. Are you willing to part with some of those guys for 2 seasons or a season? There is a lot going on in the world of Mike Dunleavy, and he better be sure about whether it's a big trade coming up, whether it's an extension coming up. He better be sure about the future or the present. And man, he's got to juggle both of them right now. It's not like what John Lynch has to deal with. He's gotten there twice. He's gotten to the Super Bowl twice. 4th quarter away twice from winning one. It's been so damn close. Farhan Zaidi, he inherited a dumpster fire. He stripped it down, and it's still not great. Right? I'm not even going to bring in Billy Bean in this situation. They're leaving. Who's my guy out with the Sharks? I mean, they just got Celebrini, so maybe he's in a great place. I know they've been a dumpster fire, but they're going to get the number 1 overall pick, so it's been worth it a little bit. So Mike Dunleavy, it's not even close who's got the most pressure on him right now to succeed amongst the other Bay Area franchises and their general managers. 888-957-9570. That's the number to chime in on the conversation. What does Mike Dunleavy need to do to get this team back? Just playoff contenders. Just get to the playoffs, man. What needs to happen? I want to hear from you. 888-957-9570. Plus more of your calls, more of your texts as we roll on here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Toyota's 4th of July sales event is on. Get into
the Lakers.
That was Bonte last night with Dalton Connect. And the steal of the draft fell to number 17 overall. Connect 4? We'll see. That's never a four-point play happens for Dalton next year. It's a Connect 4 for Dalton Connect. That game's so overrated. It's easy for kids, though, so I play it. The Lakers also, they're on Bronny watch tonight. It's the Lakers and the Suns. Only two teams he worked out for. Not to say another team might not draft him, or he might not get drafted at all. We'll see. Are you interested to where he goes? Anyone waking up right now? Who I'm talking to, 888-957-9570, whether that's in California, whether that's in Arizona, whether that's in Connecticut, whether that's in Pennsylvania, whoever I'm talking to, whether you have the Odyssey app, whether on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, appreciate you stopping on by for a little conversation. Bonte and Chasky will be with you at the top of the hour. Again, incredible interview they had yesterday with Anthony Slater, who's in studio. So upset I missed it. Didn't get to meet Anthony face-to-face. I've talked to him a couple times, filling in. Guy's one of the best in the business, so I would love to have picked his brain on some of the other stories happening around this team and whatnot. But I want to react to some of it more with you because, again, if you're just joining us, Anthony Slater covers the Warriors, said yesterday, right now he's leaning that Klay Thompson will not come back to the Golden State Warriors and that things are icy between them and the team. And he might go on the cheap elsewhere just because he doesn't want to be here anymore and might sign for less with another contender, which would be interesting. And how would Warriors fans feel about that? If Klay Thompson were to take less and go elsewhere? I brought it up last week with Bonte. I said, there's a possibility, man. I don't think anyone's just really thought about the fact that he might not just want to come to the Warriors and just go somewhere else that either he thinks is better or he'll just be a better fit with. I know, shocking. It's crazy. He's won 4 titles here. But that doesn't mean a whole lot to some people, given how things went last year. And whether you want to say it was hard feelings or not, he clearly felt like there were hard feelings, and he has the right to feel that way. And you as a fan, whether you want to bring him back or not, have the right to feel like, you know what, I didn't like how he handled that. Or, you know what, I think it was okay that he handled it. You can feel however you want. Just telling you, it's looking like Klay Thompson's on the way out. And I want to know how you feel about that. 888-957-9570. Anthony Slater on the timing of Klay's contract. So it's kind of in this period right now where a couple days from free agency, he's going to start see his market kind of get set out before him. The timing of it, though, and when it takes place might be working against him, Slater says.
In some of the sequencing of this offseason, the Chris Paul guarantee date being Friday, which is before free agency, that has forced the Warriors' hand to prioritize some other stuff. So some of it's just timing. And again, it's timing with when he's extension eligible compared to when Poole was, when Wiggins was, when Draymond was. Maybe if Klay, if Klay was just had a player option for this past year instead of when he signed that full max back after the ACL, he did no player options. Yep. Had he got a player option then and had more leverage last summer, he probably would have leveraged his way into a longer-term deal at the time. He was coming off leading the league in threes. This is when he's up. This is a bad time for him to be up. And that's not even just with the Warriors, right? That's with the market in general. Yep. But it's also just led to, it's a lot of factors leading to this moment, including the fact that they were the 10 seed last year. And now the second apron's kicking in, and now the money. And it's just a lot of stuff that if 10 days from now, we are telling the story of a breakup, a very surprising breakup, I think, to a lot of people, that it's all part of it.
A lot of people thought this icy relationship, now that Anthony's calling it, started with Klay Thompson coming off the bench. Here's Slater going into that a little more in depth because this was a topic of conversation that dominated last season. Should he come off the bench? Guy's a 4-time champion. He's a made man. He's a statue guy. Why is he coming off the bench? Well, you know what? Because it might be best for the team. They had a team meeting early on in the season in regards to Klay Thompson. Remember that? This is a team that had a team meeting in regards to his shot selection early on. And here is Anthony Slater kind of talking about how Klay handled that.
Do you guys remember the game before he got benched?
Was it the Brooklyn game? Or no, was it Clippers? Was it Clippers?
So it was a home Clippers game. They lost.
Yep.
He got benched down the stretch, which wasn't the first time. It was maybe like the fifth time or something like that. He was frustrated over there on the bench as they were, by the way, blowing a lead. Another one of those big, bad blown leads. And he's over there watching the team kind of screw up at the end, and he's not on the court. He's not particularly happy about it. But then they do put him in with 30 seconds left. Remember, he commits the foul that Steve is up in arms, why'd you commit that foul? They benched him the next day. It was right before the All-Star break. The first game, last game before the All-Star break, as you said. That was a turbulent time around them for various reasons, right? That was a horrible loss. Klay made a huge mistake. There was already should Klay be starting? Should he not be? The post game was relatively awkward. Steve's no, that was a no foul situation.
Right.
We knew not to foul. He fouled. That wasn't which I don't think led into the great conversation about coming off the bench.
Okay. Kind of layers the foundation for what Klay Thompson's feeling now. Golden State, a lot of hard feelings there. Here's part 2 of that response from Anthony Slater.
Obviously, he accepted it. He came out that night, was old school,
he lit it up.
Yeah.
He did the halftime interview with Vincent Buki.
What did he have at half that night?
20 plus.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
And then, and this is Klay in a lot of ways, where sometimes he kind of has these moments, grumpy moments, responses to stuff, especially because he has this deep competitive fire within him. And then he maybe a day or two later gives a press conference where you're like, wow, that was really introspective and egoless, blaming himself. Hey, I shouldn't have handled it this way. Hey, I shouldn't have said that. Hey, how about Manu Ginobili? He even mentioned Manu that night. So there's always a back and forth with that, I think, with him emotionally. But
man, this really does feel like we're seeing the last of Klay Thompson in Golden State Warriors uniform. And I do wonder if we're kind of not sleeping on it, but I do feel like we are so caught up in the potential of getting Paul George in a Golden State Warriors uniform that we're now pushing aside Klay Thompson and being like, oh, yeah, that sucks. But if we get Paul George, hey, no hard feelings. That's fine by me. Kick rocks, Klay. That might be harsh, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from Warriors fans. My timeline is being dominated not by Klay Thompson potentially leaving, by just getting Paul George. Get Paul George. Get Paul George. Can we get him? When's free agency start? Is he opting in? Is he opting out? Everything is about PG-13 for the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if he's coming or not. I don't know if they're setting themselves up for disappointment. The list of teams that have been linked to Paul George right now, from what I've seen, Philadelphia, Golden State, not the Knicks anymore. They already got Bridges. They already got OG Anunoby. That doesn't look like a realistic landing spot for PG-13. We'll wait and see if another dark horse contender comes out there for him. But right now, those are the two teams to watch. And where would PG like to go to win another title? Is it in a loaded West, or is it in the East now where you have the Celtics and you got the Knicks and the Pacers had a good run last year? I don't know how realistic that is that they can replicate that, but a lot less competitive conference in comparison to the one that he's been in since leaving Indiana. So a lot to be made from Paul George and his thoughts this weekend and how he feels about the Clippers. I think he'd like to stay in La La Land. That's where he's from. But what does Steve Ballmer want? Does he want to extend Paul George? They could have done that when they extended Kawhi Leonard. And if I'm Paul George, I was like, you guys extended Kawhi. I know I've been hurt, but Kawhi, this guy's a shell of himself now. Yeah, when he's healthy, he's still a very good player, but he's not the elite top 5 guy that he once was. Not on a day out and day out basis. Last year, I played 70 plus games. I was your team's best player. And I'm not going to get paid? I'm 34. I just turned 34. Okay. All right. I know I've had major injuries, but you're playing with fire, opening up that new arena, not paying me. Maybe this all is hardball and posturing, and he does get a fat contract with the Clippers, and he does stay there. If I was a betting man, I still think that happens. I'm not, so we shall see. But am I out of base Warriors fans saying that you're more interested in the possibility of Paul George coming here than you are with coming to the realization that Klay Thompson's moving on? Or is it kind of a bittersweet for you? 888-957-9570. I'll get your reactions on the other side. More of your calls, more of your texts. And Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky in about, 20 more minutes. They'll be joining you guys, talking to you. And on the other side, I'm going to give you some news and information how you could join the summit, the Warriors offseason summit happening at Fremont Bank. 2 Mondays from now? I'll give you the deets on all of that. Plus, Steiny and Guru live from Warriors HQ today for the second round of the NBA draft. Where's Bronny James going to go? What are the Warriors going to do? Could they draft Bronny? Maybe. We'll find out on 95.7 The Game.
Make this the summer to go anywhere and do anything with exciting deals on your favorite Jeep brand vehicles. Experience the luxury and comfort of Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever. While the open-air freedom of Jeep Wrangler and Jeep Gladiator will have your summer filled with adventure. Or make this the summer to experience the innovative 2024 Jeep 4xe lineup. See your local Jeep brand dealer and make the most out of your summer with great deals at the Jeep Make This the Summer event. Jeep Grand Cherokee has received more awards in its lifetime than any other SUV, based on the latest...
95.7 The Game.
There is just a chance, particularly from the Klay side, that just a breakup is needed. A fresh start is needed. I would say it's leaning that way. Again, I don't want to go too definitive because things change this time of year. The situation can change. The money, either on the market, can change enough. The Warriors offer whatever, that maybe it comes back together, but that is not the way it's trending.
Anthony Slater there, who joined Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky yesterday in studio. Find that entire interview on the Odyssey app or on YouTube. Just search either of those platforms, download them, like, subscribe, whatever you need to do. Elite stuff yesterday from the morning guys. We'll be on air here, in about 12 minutes. But until then, he got me. Hey, how you doing? 888-957-9570. Joe Spadoni in here with you, as I am every Monday through Friday. Off yesterday, though. Had to be Mr. Dad taking care of the little guys as the missus had a conference she had to go to. She has these monthly conferences where she just got to bounce. There's working from home, and then you got to go. And then you know what? Dad's got to be dad mode watching the two kids. That's fine. I love it. Because this kid's just a bunch of... Hey, it's really not rocket scientists taking care of your kids, folks. It's like this for a long time. Make sure they go potty, or if they go potty, change them so they're not grumpy. Feed them. Make sure they have liquids too, water, milk, whatever stage they're at. All right? Well, easy. And make sure they take a nap if they need one. Benny's out of the naps, or still takes naps. There you go. It's really that easy. Take them to the park, let them run around. Wow. That's all in a day's work right there. So why is everyone... This ain't hard. Please. Just kidding. I know how hard it is. It's all different circumstances. And by the way, all the single moms or single dads out there, I appreciate you guys. It ain't easy. Trust me. It ain't easy. Especially when they start getting to those teenage years, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm already dreading it because, well, my 4-year-old already acts like a teenager half the time anyways. So there's that. Speaking of a teenage breakup, if you will, or like hard feelings or a hard breakup, that's kind of what this Klay Thompson Golden State Warriors thing has a feel to it. And I know Paul George is the guy that's kind of dominating the headlines right now, and I get that because Warriors fans are trying to maximize the present. And right now, Klay Thompson is not going to be part of this team going forward. At least right now, that is the sense I am getting. That is the sense that Anthony Slater is getting. So you have to pivot to the future, or at least for next year and the year after that. And if that is Paul George, then yes, that would be the ultimate, oh, Klay, I love you. You won 4 titles. God bless you. See you later. We just got PG-13 and we're a lot better. Now, how much better in the West? That's a conversation to have. But a playoff team, I'd think, because the West is just loaded, man. And I cannot wait to see what happens here in free agency, all these other different names. What is Jimmy Buckets, who again reportedly yesterday, Jimmy Butler, who another guy maybe Warriors fans were interested in. Reportedly yesterday, Jimmy Butler will not be signing an extension with anyone if he does get traded, and he is expected to use his opt-out clause on his player option next summer and sign wherever he wants to go. So put a little post-it note on that, what's going on with Jimmy Butler. Kevin Durant, well, Stephen A. Smith says the Suns want out on KD. Believe him if you will. Suns owner said that KD loves Phoenix, we love KD, and we're going to try to win a title next year. So we'll see. I don't think Kevin Durant's getting traded personally. I think that Paul George is going to be that guy for the Warriors. If they don't get him, I think it's going to be tough landing another big name free agent. But what do you got, Mike Dunleavy? I didn't see Jordan Poole for Chris Paul straight up last year. That's kind of what happened. Obviously, Patrick Paul don't attach to that, amongst other things. But I didn't see that coming. And did that really make you all that much better? Not really. Not really. Jordan Poole didn't have a great season last year, but at least I think I could bet on the future of him more so than I can with Chris Paul, who's damn near 40 years old, however the hell old he is right now. Anthony Slater on potential landing spots for Klay Thompson.
I think that still has to materialize. I think the Paul George domino is massive here, not just obviously, maybe the Warriors get him, but does he go back to the Clippers and then Philly's got a bunch of cap space? Does he go to Philly and then, the Clippers are in scramble mode and are trying to reconfigure rosters? If there's, a lot of times what happens as you go into the market, suddenly you'll see a team trade a bunch of like a $17 million player and a $10 million player to Washington and San Antonio and give them picks because it's like, why are they doing that? Oh, they're clearing cap space for somebody.
Right.
So there could be I'll just say this, there could be some surprising landing spots out there for Klay Thompson. I'm not trying to name any teams right now, but there's a lot is in the air right now.
A lot is in the air right now. That's the understatement of the world from Anthony Slater. And this next cut is the most interesting one to me because I don't think we bring up this guy's name enough when it comes to free agency and just contract talks with other players. We do this a lot with LeBron, right? What does LeBron want? Well, if LeBron wants it, it's going to happen. If LeBron wanted Dalton Connect yesterday, I guess there was a video circulating of him shouting out Connect, Zach Edey last year, saying he loves watching those guys, and now Connect is a Laker. Like, if he wants a guy, usually that happens. He wanted Anthony Davis, they made it happen. He wanted Carmelo Anthony, it happened. He wanted Russell Westbrook, yikes, that happened. Well, what does Stephen Curry want?
He's in the bring Klay back camp for sure. He's like probably the most vocal, if we're just talking Klay, if we're talking just bigger picture. I mean, he just, he wants a better team, but he's not just, right. At least in my opinion, or in my understanding, he's not just like, flipping tables. Like, if you don't do this, like I'm asking out type thing. I don't expect that. But, he's in on these bigger picture conversations. He's communicative with Mike Dunleavy. We'll see what gets done. At some point, I'm sure we're going to get into the Paul George conversation. Tend to think he's interested in that possibility. And, if calls can legally be made, I'm sure he will, pick up the phone.
Listen, Steph is a splash bro. The word bro, obviously brother, it's him and Klay. They have been tied at the hip during this whole run. Even when Klay came back and he was a lesser version of himself coming off of two major injuries, the ACL and the Achilles, it was still the splash bros. He is that guy to Steph Curry. Draymond Green, he's attached to Steph Curry as well, but there is something different between the relationship of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. And I wonder how things shook out last year, if there is some hurt feelings between that relationship as well. Now, Steph's not going to say that. I don't think Klay's going to go out publicly and say that either, but it could not have been easy for Klay Thompson coming off the bench there, and he still got Draymond Green and Steph being starters. They came into the whole thing together. Obviously, Steph a little bit earlier, and that's all the same drafts, but you get what I'm saying. This dynastic run together with Steve Kerr, they all came into it. You can add in Andre Iguodala there if you want. Iggy's gone. He was kind of the old man in the building, and now they're all kind of old, whether it's Steph, Dre, or Klay. So what Steph says should go, but I think Steph is playing this close to the vest and not, saying, oh, we better bring him back at whatever cost. I don't think he's doing that. I think he'd love to have Klay back. I think he's won 4 titles with the guy, and he loves him like a brother, not just a splash brother. But again, hard feelings. And it's difficult around these times. Just listen to Steve Kerr. I think this is on Jim Rome on his show, which I guess is streaming on X now, and so are we. So search 95.7 The Game and follow me at Spadoni_Joe. Steve Kerr on Klay and these difficult contract negotiations.
This is the way it works in the NBA and any professional sport. There's just going to be difficult moments, uncomfortable moments where money is involved, contracts, respect, however you want to put it. What I do know is that Klay has been such an integral part of everything around here. Obviously, multi-time champion, but even more than that, just someone who has such a great connection with the Bay Area, with the franchise, with his teammates. And so we want Klay back desperately. I want him back desperately. We will have our conversations, and he's got to make whatever decision he makes. But we really want him back. He's Klay Thompson.
Desperately was the word there that I heard. Do I believe that? Desperately? Well, if you want someone back desperately, you're willing to give them whatever they want. I don't think that's the case for the Golden State Warriors. We'd love to have him back, I think is what he would like to say. But when he says desperately, that means he cares a lot, and that's fine. But I don't know, Steve, if you want him back at $30 million a year. Want him back at your cost. And obviously that's above his pay grade. That's a Mike Dunleavy thing. That's a Joe Lacob thing. But again, it's just feeling like the writing has been on the wall now for this past week, couple weeks. Hell, as soon as he got benched, that this might be the end of Klay Thompson in Golden State. And you know what? All good things must come to an end. Sooner or later, Stephen Curry's going to go too. Well, that's retirement or moving on elsewhere. And that's going to suck. It's going to hurt. You'll get through it because that's just all we have to do. Life goes on, right? Shout out Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Always. One more from Anthony Slater before handing it off to Bonte and Joe Shasky, who again did a terrific job yesterday. So sad I missed out on all the action, but this one was fascinating. I'm going to leave you guys on this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let Bonte and Shasky do this because you know what? I'm not going to end this show with a soundbite. I don't want to do that. I'm going to let them get into it on the other side. What I want to do is shout out the Warriors off-season summit taking place. And as I pull up my email right now, because I just had it up and now I am scrambling here, summit promo. Here we go. All right. So, I'm sure you guys have heard Warriors off-season summit with all the hosts. It's Monday, July 8th from 4 to 6 p.m. Willard and Dibbs will get the party started at 2. The location, Fremont Bank, 39150 Fremont Boulevard in Fremont. It's not just a clever name. Space is limited, so go to 957thegame.com right now to reserve your spot. Again, Warriors Offseason Summit, Monday, July 8th. Hopefully, there'll be moves that will be made. Maybe Paul George is a Warrior. Maybe Klay Thompson's not a Warrior anymore. A lot to be done between now and then, but go ahead and reserve your spot. Again, just search 957thegame.com for your chance to go. All right. That's it for me. Bonte Hill, Joe Shasky next. Morning Roast. Have a good morning, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station.